I made my first $1 million while I was in prison.
Wow. Got your girl calling me baby. Wetter than seal in the Navy. Ooh, bitch, I'm Mercedes. 100K on the daily. So copper, I make it rainy. I don't hang out with the broke and the lazy.
Boys and girls, men and women, welcome back to the channel. Right now, we're probably going to meet with one of the most inspiring guests that we had all year. Goes by the name of Michael Santos. Been to prison for 26 years. At age 23. I don't think you heard that right. 26 years in prison. Became a millionaire. It gets better. Became a millionaire in prison and is now a multi-millionaire.
Cause I gotta tell like that, yeah. You're only as good as your last.
Now, we had guests on this channel that been to jail, been to prison for years and whatnot, but 26 years? Now, my question to y'all is, a lot of y'all are age 23, right? 24, 25, maybe younger. But you're not in prison. What's your excuse of not being successful or doing the things that you want to do? I'm about to get lit talking about this. This video is going to be special. This video is going to be inspiring. This video is going to change and open up your mind. It's refreshing. Get your popcorn, get your Coca-Cola. Let's get the video started.
SNEWJ!
There he is. How you doing, sir?
Thanks so much for coming down to see me.
Yes, nice to officially meet you.
I just put a body kit, forged carbon whips.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming to our house.
Absolutely.
You know, you came just at the right time because I'm going to be making some changes here.
Okay.
Liquidating this property. It's one of the things that I do to earn a living, but I'm happy to share my story with you and hopefully inspire your readers or your viewers to recognize they can become anything they want to become. Okay. I mean, I was in prison for 26 years, so if I could do it, anybody can do it. Yeah.
Prison for 26 years.
Yeah, so I was...
Just a little sneak peek. We're going to dive more into it later, but
for sure.
26 years and
so,
what happened?
So I, during the era of Scarface, I was your age or a young kid. I was 20 years old. I saw Scarface. I thought that'd be a cool way, you know, fast cars, hot chicks, Miami lifestyle. I pursued it. I believed that if I didn't handle the coke myself, I wasn't really breaking the law, just being totally ignorant of the system. So I hired my little buddies from high school and began transporting coke from Miami to Seattle and many cities in between. That lasted for about a year and a half. For a while, I moved to Marbella, Spain, thinking I was going to get away from it all after I'd earned enough money. But sure enough, I was indicted on what's called a sealed indictment. And when I came back to the United States, I was arrested on August the 11th, 1987. At that time in my life,
before I was born,
at that time in my life, the only thing I wanted was to get out of prison. You know, it didn't work out that way. I made every bad decision a kid could make. I went to trial. I took the witness stand and lied and said I didn't do it. And you know, really taunted the prosecutor. Made every bad decision. I went to trial in Seattle. I was arrested in Miami and didn't really recognize that a kid that age that had that lifestyle was, I could be convicted just on the lifestyle.
Right.
But in reality, I was guilty. A jury convicted me after a trial of about 5 weeks, and it was really at that moment that my life changed. I was locked in a solitary cell. I read the book of Frederick Douglass, a biography of a guy who was born into slavery, and when I read his story about how he used his life story to do something good for the world, that inspired me to want to do something good. And it drove me through 9,500 days in prison.
Wow. I know you were talking to me earlier. Now you're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. The lessons that I learned in prison were really about how to think differently, how to live by a different philosophy.
Yes.
And how to try and serve others rather than just live for my own gratification. Read a lot of books. Like I said, Frederick Douglass was an inspiration, Socrates was an inspiration, Mandela was an inspiration, and they helped me believe that if I started thinking about people like you and have, say, a law-abiding, contributing citizen, I'd think about you when I'm locked in a solitary cell, and I'd say, is there anything that I can do while I'm in here that would cause SNEWJ, a leader, an influencer, to see me not as a coke dealer, but rather how I've responded to it.
I see.
And that led me to this three-pronged path. I said, what would SNEWJ want me to do? He'd want me to get an education. He'd want me to contribute to society in meaningful, measurable ways. And he'd want me to build a support network. And if I could do those three things, maybe SNEWJ would see me as not just a coke dealer and a criminal, but rather as somebody who could bring value to society.
I like that.
And that drove me through getting a bachelor's degree in prison, a master's degree in prison. I made my first $1 million while I was in prison.
Wow, that I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
that
I made
is
$1
crazy.
million in prison.
Okay.
I got married in prison.
What the heck?
You know, my wife is here right now.
Way.
She comes on.
This story just keeps getting more and more.
Yeah, I got married in
inspiring.
prison. I supported my wife in prison. I got out of prison. I came out with about 100. I'm the only guy who got out of prison and had to take a pay cut.
You're the only guy that got out of prison that became a millionaire in prison.
I know. There's my wife, Carol.
Yeah,
They get to-
hi.
Say hi, Carol. They'll always say, "Well, you're not the star of the story. It's Carol's the star of the
most
story."
definitely, for sure.
We built our life together, and the vision was always, when I come home, I'm going to use my story to change the prison system. And I'm really proud of that, because we incarcerate more people per capita than any other nation. Most of those people are people of color and people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. And I really feel passionately about helping them become successful. So I create things to help them.
Got you. So is that how you make
Money?
your money? Yeah. Is
So
helping.
I've made money in a number of ways. Okay.
What are like some of the main things that?
Well, that makes the real money.
Yeah.
I invested in myself while going through prison. When my wife picked me up, I told her within 5 years I'd have my first $1 million. I'd made $1 million in prison, but stocks are volatile, and I supported her, so I walked out with about $100,000.
So it was stocks in
prison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I made money in the stock market in prison.
Wow. How did you get the money in prison?
So it's a great story.
Yeah.
Remember, first of all, I spent time investing in myself. I got an undergraduate degree, I got a master's degree in prison, and I studied the market.
Okay.
Because I believed that I would always be unemployable. I thought I'd never get a job because I'd been in prison so long. I said, well, I've got to figure out a way how to earn money myself. And the stock market was something I wanted to learn. So I read the Wall Street Journal. I read Investors Business Daily. I read a lot of books on investors. And remember, when I went to prison, there was no internet.
Yeah.
There was no cell phones.
Yeah, there's no
my wife gave me the
Instagram,
cell
no
phone.
YouTube,
when I got out, she gave me this.
yeah.
I thought it was broken because there was no dial tone.
Yeah.
But I had become a writer and was writing, and then I wrote a number of books that were used in universities across the country.
Yeah.
And those books generated income for me, but not a lot of income. You know, right? I made a few $1,000s.
So basically you use that.
I used that to start. And that started when the internet started. I believed that the internet would be more powerful than radio and television and the telephone combined.
You knew, huh?
Well, because you read and you study and you learn trends. And so there were three dominant companies: Yahoo, America Online, and Amazon.
Yeah.
And I focused first on America Online and then on Amazon, and I used leverage. So I learned how to use margin, and I'd watch CNBC religiously.
Yeah.
And then from watching and learning, when I started accumulated a little bit of cash, and I mean $2,000 from that $2,000 in 1998 at the start of the internet. Using margin and leverage, I ramped my way up to more than 1.1 million in equity.
That is ridiculous.
In
honestly,
prison,
yeah.
just trading.
2K
to 1.1 million.
Wow.
So, but you have to use margin, right? So you have to be willing to, take a shot. And I'm a believer. I was never one into diversification. I believe, let me find what's right, and I'm aggressive and I'm driven. And so I started with little, and then 2,000 turns into 3 turns into 6 with leverage. 6 turns into 15 gives you 30 gives you 100. And before you know it, they're splitting, and you're getting more leverage. And that's how I built up to $2 million portfolio, $1 million in equity, fully leveraged.
In jail.
In prison.
In prison.
In 1999.
Wow.
So I still have 12 years to go.
That is. Now, look, as much as I want to stand here and talk about this more, I want to sit down and pick your brain.
We're going to do it.
Can we, just for the viewers, can we see the crib?
For sure, come on in.
Las Vegas, Nevada, $100
I bought this house for $1 million in 2008.
Okay.
I actually, for 2018.
Okay.
But with the idea that this would be a great investment, because like next door, there's $50 million property. You cannot buy anything in this 3-mile radius for like under 2.5.
Right.
Even then.
Yeah.
So it was kind of dated when I bought it, but I said, I can trick it out
a little bit.
And so we really took it down to the studs. And let's see, took it down to the studs
lavish.
here. and put, they used to have a stone floor. I ripped that out.
You redone everything.
Everything.
Right? Yeah.
Ripped all this up. They used to have a lot of dated arches and stuff here. It was a dark color.
Yeah.
We really put the money in this area. So this is the kitchen.
Wow.
And I put this marble.
You when did you do all this? Redo everything?
I did it in 2020. Has a lot of features that high-end homes that you need in Orange County.
This house is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just how everything's built
I
out.
redid the pool, and I could be down at the beach running, and I could turn on use this here to turn on the waterfalls, and so everything is automatic. So I can get the jacuzzi turning on and get it hot. Pretty soon you're going to see waterfalls jet out of here.
Wow. How often do you use the pool?
Oh, I use it a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I would use the jacuzzi a lot because I'm a runner. And at
Honestly.
night it's beautiful because all this lights up.
Now, how much was all this? How
I
much
probably
did all
put
this
300
cost?
grand.
300 grand.
350.
And then you said you're selling the home, right?
I'm going to sell this home.
What price are you trying
I
to
think
sell
we'll
it?
get 2.5.
2.5.
So I
Okay.
paid it. I got $1.3 million in it. I
Yeah.
walk out with, and I put a lot down.
Yeah.
So I have very little debt on it. But I tricked it out with a Sub-Zero refrigerator,
Oh,
high-end stove.
Wow.
Everything is for
Everything's updated.
Yeah, all
and
marble.
modern.
The waterfalls here. We did everything, and then we did really nice in the upstairs.
Cold heart, pretty face, love to chase, big mistake, no give or take, they all the same.
This is only 3,000 feet,
3,000 square feet. Okay.
but it was good for me, and
this is beautiful.
And I work from home.
Yeah.
So it was a great opportunity for me to make money and live in an amazing home.
Okay.
So we've got a couple little desks here where I'd work. I used to keep all of my books up here.
It's like a model home, huh? Exactly.
Yeah. It's staged now for being sold. Upstairs, you've
that
got
the attic?
more space. No, that's all finished. Up there is all finished. And then you come over here, the master bedroom is super hot for if you're a single guy.
Yeah.
You turn on some lights here.
Oh, look at that. Mirrors everywhere.
Got incredible views. And
Look at the restroom.
this bathroom is just amazing. We really tricked
This
this out.
shower is crazy.
And then look at here, you got the
oh, what? The automatic?
yeah, automatic
That thing
toilet. Owning it for this amount of time is I get long-term capital gains. So when I sell it, even though I make $1 million, I'll net $1.3 million or so,
Yeah.
something like that. But I only pay 20% tax.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
right.
great,
So you got to
yeah.
live in it.
That's fantastic,
Right, and
yeah.
it doesn't cost me anything. My mortgage is super cheap.
How much is your mortgage, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I only have a $700,000 mortgage, so my mortgage payment is like $4,000.
Wow.
I could rent an apartment for $4,000 right now.
What do we have over here? I see some Rolexes.
Yeah,
What's going on?
so I began during COVID
Okay.
wanting to have hard assets. So I started buying Rolexes. Then I wish I was buying cryptos. This was the first one that I bought that I wanted to be an everyday watch.
Okay.
It's a Submariner.
How much do you buy that for?
I could probably get 40 for it now.
40? Wow,
yeah,
look
but
at
you
that.
can't get, the thing is that you can't get that in a store.
Yeah.
This one was, I paid 45 for, I think I paid 45 for each of these. I
45,
paid
oh.
90, I bought these two together and got them at a deal for 90,000.
that.
This is the biggest Rolex there is. So when you get old like me, you want to have a big face.
Yeah.
I paid 45 for the two of them. I had 90,000 for the two of them.
wow.
And this one is a Submariner as well, but it's two-tone. So I got this one because I go into
yeah.
prisons,
Yeah.
and sometimes I don't want to intimidate, look
Yeah,
too much.
yeah.
But so this is nice because it's a two-tone.
Okay. How much is this one go for? The
Like
same?
20.
20?
Yeah, that's a Submariner
Beautiful.
also. This is my favorite. This is what I had before I went to prison.
Very elegant.
This is called the Day Date with the presidential bracelet. It's a good everyday watch.
Yeah. Can we see? I know you
Yeah,
say you're
you
big in
wanted to see.
crypto.
Yeah, let me show you.
Can we see some proof?
Yeah, 100%.
Not for me, but for the fans out there.
I made I think 200 yesterday, close to it.
Yeah.
And today we're doing even better. So I'll show you how I track everything because that's what I
Okay.
teach people in
Yeah.
prison how to do. Many of those people, unfortunately, they didn't grow up with good role models and good mentors. And they don't get a lot of good messaging in prison. While they're in prison, they hear the best way to serve time is to forget about the world outside and focus on your life in here.
Yeah.
And that's a pathway to intergenerational cycles of poverty.
Yeah.
And the people who inspired me, Frederick Douglass, Nelson Mandela, Socrates, they inspired us to say, try to be better, try to change the world. And so I have to convince them, go to school, get an education. I don't care what the prison system does. Nothing can stop you from learning to read better, write better, do better math skills, communication skills, critical thinking, self-directed work ethic. Those are the secrets to a CEO mindset.
Yeah.
But if I'm not successful, I'm just another talking head, another guy that's full of happy talk. So I show them, like, it's very transparent for me. This is a crypto wallet that has
$1 million, huh?
11.07. This is my biggest wallet. I got a couple of others.
Wait, you said 11?
11.07 Bitcoins.
Oh, wow. You have 11
Coins.
Bitcoins.
Yeah, I got more. On this wallet, I have $1 million. This is the one that I built.
Can I show the camera real quick?
Yeah, sure. There's nothing there they can take.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about
$1
crypto.
million. It's his. It's
So
all legit, guys.
It's liquid.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Wow.
liquid. Like, I track everything.
Okay.
Right? And I have to do that. You have to be very,
Oh, look at that.
like, all of my Bitcoin purchases are here. Like, when did I buy? What did I started buying in January 31?
Oh, nice.
Buying, just a little bit, 10,000 or 20,000 or so.
Yeah.
And then, I could scroll down and say my account now today it has profit of 411,000, and that's tax-free. Because until I sell it, I don't pay tax. Then I can show you up here, I have other areas here where I do my stocks, right? So I hold 4,000 shares of NVIDIA that right now today is worth 586,000.
Okay.
This trade has been an amazing trade. I got to see, I'll look at my E-Trading account because that was 205 earlier today. I don't know where it is now. That's worth $1,025,000. And I always keep this little thing, cash if I sell MSTU, because I did margin this by $278,000. But if I sold it today, I have $740,000.
Yeah.
But here's the sweet spot. I bought this less than 2 weeks ago. So I'm up more than 600 grand on this trade in 2 weeks. I'm up on the month, 985,000. I can scroll down to see my cash accounts. I can see every day how has it changed, right? This is how the equity has changed through trading from Friday, November the 1st, 3.7, just seeing it every day. These are daily gains or losses. Down, right? Down 25,000 the first, down 15,000, down 5,000, up 20, up 25,000, up 159,000, up 62, up 17, up 10, all the way to today, and that's up 245,000 since the election, up $1,063,000.
Wow.
So I can clock in here, and the day's gain was $230,000.
Wow, look at that.
Total assets
230
for the day.
Wow, this is another account too. This is not.
This is not crypto.
Yeah.
This is for this. So 230, I can go over here to portfolio and show you, just to show you I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Right?
Here, look at that.
You can look at the portfolio and you can say, wow, you made 203,000 on the day here, 27,000 in NVIDIA. I'm up $585,000, and I bought that stock. Well, it's November the 8th.
Wow.
What's today? November the 19th.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
So in 11 days, up 600 grand.
That's beautiful.
So it was a wonderful day, but it puts me in a position to say, well, because I thought, well, I'd love to capture some of it, but if I do, I got to pay $300,000 in tax
We don't want that.
by April.
Yeah.
If I hold it till January the 1st, I don't have to pay till April of 26.
Yeah.
If I hold it till November of 25, I only pay 20%.
Yeah.
When I talk to people in prison, I tell them I'm always going to make you 3 promises. I'm never going to lie to you. 2, I'm never going to ask you to do anything I didn't do while I was in prison and that I'm not still doing today.
Yeah.
And 3, I'm never going to ask you to pay me a penny. Nobody pays me anything. I can make, when you're making $200,000-$300,000 a week sometimes, a month sometimes, who can possibly pay me?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It's way better to give it away. And you can make an impact on the world. And that's what excites me, is about trying to help change society, because I just am really sad when I think about the grandfathers and the fathers and their sons all in prison together, the mothers that are separated. It is a very meaningful to me, and I was really blessed to learn from, as I said, Frederick Douglass, Socrates, Nelson Mandela, that inspired me, and I feel that's my calling in life. It's like my ministry to try and change the way people think about prisons and help people in prison recognize you don't have to be looked upon for the worst thing you did. Start building a path, and that's what my stuff's about.
I agree. No, I think it's personally great that you went through all that, 26 years in prison, changed the way that you thought, did things, etc. not make excuses for yourself when you got out, and actually turned your whole life around and now making an impact?
I was so fortunate because when I got locked up, I was in the hole of the solitary confinement for a year.
And so you went in at what age?
I was 23. I was 23. Can you imagine all the young man things that I missed? I mean, I lived pretty good from the time I was 20 to 23. But
wow.
At 23, my life went on pause, and I was locked in solitary confinement. In the federal system, I was facing life in prison.
Which prison did you go to?
Oh, I was all over the country because I was in the federal system.
I see.
So I started in a high security penitentiaries on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And it took me, I was on the East Coast first for high security penitentiaries for the first 7 or 8 years of my sentence, then medium security prisons for a few years, then low security prisons for about 7 or 8 years, then minimum security camps at the end. And the whole way through was really focused. CEO mindset, right? Figure out a plan, the best possible outcome, right? Put a plan together, put priorities in place, okay? Build your tools, tactics, and resources, and execute the plan. Adjust as necessary, and that allowed me to have a successful journey through 9,500 days in prison.
Now, during that time in prison, did you ever feel sorry for yourself, or like how were you feeling? Because that's young, 23. You must have.
I was really fortunate. So a lot of your readers may not know the story of Frederick Douglass. So if you permit me 90 seconds, I'm going to try and tell. He was born in slavery during the time of slavery, and an officer gave me the book. And he was born. He knew nothing other than being a slave, because that's what he was for 20 years. Then he escaped, but when he escaped, he didn't go on to live a cool, super cool life. He devoted himself to trying to abolish slavery for everybody else. And that means that he had to learn how to read, how to write, how to speak, and then he became a proponent. And here's the funny thing, when he became successful, people used to criticize him and say, why are you spending this time talking to, the people that support slavery? Instead of spending time with us. And his response was, I don't have to change your mind that slavery is bad. You know it's bad. Those are the people whose minds I have to change. And he did it by writing books and becoming very public about his life. So that story inspired me, and I was in the hole when I read it. And that's what gave me hope. So I always felt as if I've got a purpose here.
That's good.
I've got to start doing that. And so then I started writing letters to universities and trying to get into school. I said I was a terrible student in high school, but I want to change my life. And, you write 1 letter, nobody responds. 10 letters, you got a 10 times better chance of no one responding. But you send 100 letters out, somebody's going to respond. And I was so fortunate to get into college. And once I was in college.
What college? So how does that work in the prison system when you go to school? Because you got your master's.
I got my bachelor's first. And it was all through correspondence with Ohio University.
Okay, so university outside the prison.
Ohio. And they'd send me the books, and then I'd go through the coursework. And you have to be really disciplined and self-directed, and those are skills that translate into success. Then I wanted to go to law school, and I started to write law schools. And it was the law school deans all wrote me back and said, you can't go to law school because the American Bar Association won't accept you until you've got to study on campus. So when you get out, you can. But one of the deans wrote me and said, I really like what you're doing, and we have more flexibility in a graduate program. Would you like to get a master's degree? And he said, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, what would you want to study? And I said, I really think that mass incarceration is the greatest social injustice of our time, and I want to have a role in changing it. And so this was at Hofstra University in New York. They created a program specifically for me, and I got my master's in 1995. Then I was in a PhD program at the University of Connecticut. But a warden didn't think a person in prison should be getting a PhD, so they blocked me after my first year. But that was okay. That's
you were on your way to get that for sure.
I was getting my PhD, but that was fine. When one door closes, another opens. That's was the dawn of the internet. And I started investing in stocks, and that's where I made my first $1 million in prison.
Let me ask you this. You think if you didn't go to prison,
I think I'm a big believer. I believe in God, and He has a plan for us all. And for me, this was my path, and I believe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I can't really second guess what I would have been doing. I made really bad decisions when I was 20 that don't really define my life, but they put me on a course, and it's my job. Whatever course we're on, it's our job to work toward getting the best outcome. That's what I do.
At that young age before you went to prison, I'm just curious. You said you were transferring coke.
Yeah. I used to buy coke in I saw the movie Scarface.
Yeah.
My father's Cuban.
Right.
So he escaped from Cuba, and his buddy lived in Miami, and he had a son who was my age. So I knew him when I would vacation as children. We'd go to Miami. And I knew this kid went to school in Miami. So after I saw Scarface, I figured, well, you must know people who sell coke if you live in Miami. And I called him and I said, you know anybody? He said, yeah, of course. A lot of people in my high school. I said, well, find out what a kilo goes for.
Yeah.
And I got the price there. And then I didn't use drugs. But I knew people who did.
Okay.
So I went to them. I said, well, if you use coke, you must buy coke. Find out what your dealers, what they buy it for. And I think in 1980, it was 84, 85.
Yeah.
And the price of a kilo in Seattle was like 30,000? No.
Wow.
I paid 27,000 in Miami and sold them for like 50 in Seattle.
Wow.
So there's a big spread.
Yeah.
Right? And it's immediate, right? You buy 10 keys for 270, sell it for 500. There's quite a bit of cash there for a kid who's 20.
How much money what was like the...
Not as much as I make in the stock market.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I might have made a couple $1 million,
Wow. Okay.
But which is a lot for a kid back then, 20 years ago. What is it, 40 years ago now.
And they take all that money away from you.
I lost everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I had enough money that I'd moved to Europe, and I was living in Marbella, Spain, but I came back thinking there was nothing wrong, but there was a sealed indictment.
Wow.
And I was facing life in prison. Man. There were no weapons in my case, but I was what's called the vernacular is a kingpin. I was at what's called an 848, a continuing criminal enterprise, the leader. So I was facing life in prison.
And this is 23, right? 22?
I was 23 years old.
What goes through your head during that time?
I mean, I'll never be with a woman again. I start thinking about, that's like what? Where am I? First of all, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And so I went to trial. I was guilty, 100%. 100% guilty, but I wasn't ready to accept.
Did you feel like you were going to go to prison regardless? Like you're just...
No, I felt I was going to win in trial.
Okay.
Because remember, I didn't get caught with any coke. I didn't get caught with any money, right? But I lived a lifestyle that is unexplainable.
Yeah.
How am I living in Key Biscayne in this, beautiful condo on the ocean, driving the cars I was driving, the boats that I was driving?
Right.
It was not explicable to the people of a jury.
So when the jury said you were guilty, what did you feel? What was the kind of emotions you were going through?
I would say, first of all, I went through a trial. So I was in there for like several weeks, listening to a lot of people testify against me. I took the witness stand and lied on the witness stand. I mean, I went all in, and the jury convicted me on every count. And it was at that moment that I realized what a disaster I'd made of my life. Damn. My grandparents wouldn't speak to me. I'd humiliated my family.
Yeah.
My sisters were embarrassed. I was all over the newspaper, drug kingpin.
Wow.
But it was in that moment that was my transformation. From the time I was convicted, I wasn't ready to accept responsibility and express remorse. But after I was convicted, when I read Frederick Douglass and Socrates and Mandela, I realized, okay, it's going to be up to me to reconcile with society and make amends. And to do that, I'm going to be on that 3-part plan. Get an education, contribute to society by writing books, and build a support network. And I built a massive support network of Nobel laureate scholars that invited me to publish with them. They'd come to visit with me. It's how I got married in prison.
Yeah.
Met a woman in prison.
Talk more about, okay, so you got married in prison.
Yeah.
So how did you meet your wife?
So I was writing about the prison experience because by then I'd already gotten my master's degree and I was publishing a lot. And students from all over the country were aware of me because they're studying me in class. Yeah. And it's kind of intriguing, this kid's in prison doing a long time writing about intriguing. Prison.
Yeah.
And so the internet started. And when the internet started, he started researching me. I don't even know who this kid is.
Yeah.
And they were doing a high school reunion from where I went to high school, Shorecrest High School in Seattle, Washington. And they were doing the 20-year reunion, and Carol was the person who was coordinating it.
Okay.
Now, I knew her as a child, but she was a good girl, and I was not a good boy. So we were not friends. But this kid wrote to her and said, is this the same high school where Michael Santos went to school? She said, why are you writing? She said, yes, why are you writing? And he said, well, he's in prison, and I read his book, and I was just curious. And that prompted her to write me what I would say is a nasty letter. But not the kind of nasty letter a guy in prison wants to get.
Yeah,
She's writing, you shouldn't have sold drugs. It's really bad. I'm a mother of 2 children, and I always knew you were running with a fast crowd, and you shouldn't have done this, but I thought you'd want some pictures from our high school reunion. I remember getting this letter and showing it to my buddy. I said, I bet you I could make her my girlfriend. I'm going to try.
Wait, what age were you at this point?
Oh, by this time I'd been in prison already for 15 years.
Okay, so you're in your...
I was probably 30. I wasn't 40 yet. Yeah. So it was 2002. So I was probably 38.
Okay.
So I was 38. I'd been in prison already for
Yeah.
15 years. We were the same age. That led to a correspondence, which led to a friendship. Which after like 8 months, she came to visit me. I was in prison in New Jersey.
Yeah.
She was living in the Northwest.
Wow.
She flew over to meet me, and we fell in love, and we got married inside of a prison's visiting room.
That's insane.
And I supported her the whole time.
Wow.
Through my money.
Yeah.
Through money I earned trading stocks.
Yeah, trading stocks in prison.
In prison. Yeah. So
That's
I
incredible.
really developed skills that helped me build a life, and I try to. That's what my story is to people in prison. I said, if you are determined to be a law-abiding, contributing citizen, you've got to sow the seeds and nurture the seeds, and you develop skills, and with those skills, you can figure out your path to be the CEO of your life.
Yeah.
Not my life, your life.
Yeah.
I try to teach people how to do it.
So there's a lot of people that watch the channel, right? And there's a lot of people that we have featured on the channel that are maybe immigrants or have immigrant parents. They don't have the same opportunities or went to prison for 26 years. And they still make excuses. These are our viewers. Some, not all of them. Some of them make excuses like, I can't be successful or make something out of my life. What do you tell those people? Because
that's a great question, and I'm going to tell you that, and I'll tell your viewers this. I'm on this channel not because you reached out to me, but because I wanted to take your story. I saw you on YouTube making an impact, and I saw your courage in going up to people and asking them questions. I saw your youth, and I thought you would be really relatable to my audience in prison. And so I said, I'd like to tell your story to people in prison because they can see you. And my guess was going to be, and then I saw a story about how you earn a living by bringing value and creating value for other people. I thought that's a really powerful message. Because it's not saying I have to have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, come from a pedigreed background, right? I can come from nothing and build something. And I've 100%. Made millions and lost millions and made millions again, but it's a mindset. And I create a course that I teach people in prison, but I am always looking for successful people because all successful people follow this same path. And I could tell you how you do it without yet even interviewing you. Would you like to hear it?
Let's hear it, yeah.
So here's the 10-part course. The essence of our courses is, number one, you've got to start by defining success. And what I love about SNEWJ is he knows what success is at various stages, from the start when you were working in a fitness club to loving your motorcycle and going out and taking videos.
Story, huh?
And then transitioning to saying, I love to interview other people and interact, right? He knew what success was for him. It's not for everybody, but it was for him. And then 2, that's the first module, define success. Second module is you've got to have very clear goals that align with how you define success. And with SNEWJ'S case, he had to find his friend who would help him with videos, and he had to create content, and he had to do so much. And I bet you that he has a science behind it. How many videos do you produce a week, right? He's looking at metrics and data and all kinds of information, because his success is not by accident. It's deliberate and intentional. That's the same with everybody. Those are the prerequisites of success. Define it and set goals. If you've done that, then you can go on the 8-part advanced process. You've got to have the right attitude, right? The right attitude is he's not doing this for money anymore. He's already successfully pulled up to my house in a Lamborghini, okay? I mean, he's doing it because this is his passion. He loves what he does, and you can see it in his face, right? So you've got to have the right attitude. If you're doing something just for money, you're probably not going to crush it, okay? You crush it when you love what you do, right? The next module in our course is an aspiration. You've got to see yourself not where you are, but what is possible. I have no doubt that you will see SNEWJ someday on television with his own show, right? Doing, reaching even a broader audience, because he's he likely aspires to not have 1 million people in his network, but 100 million people, right? And so you've got to have that aspiration because it drives you when things are slow. 3, the next one is you've got to take action. You can't talk about it. You need a mentor like SNEWJ, somebody who started with, what did it cost you to start your business? $5,000, if that? A video, a camera?
Right about.
Right?
Yeah,
what did you got?
3,000.
Right? And you could borrow that from family and friends, but look what he's created. As I said, he's pulled up in a Lamborghini, and I hope you'll take a picture of that for the show.
Absolutely.
So let them see it. So you got to take action, and that means learning from others, and that's what his business is he teaches others. Next, you've got to hold yourself accountable, right? Nobody tells me what success is. I know how much I want to earn every month, every year. I know the different asset classes that I want to own. And as you'll see, I own jewelry that doesn't really appreciate, but it holds its value. I own a lot of gold coins. I own a lot of crypto, a lot of stocks, real estate. I'm always looking for assets that will appreciate in value. So you got to hold yourself accountable. Next, you got to be aware. Anybody could have done what SNEWJ did. Anybody, right? No special skill, right? He didn't know how to make a video when you started. He put a GoPro camera on and did it, right? You've got to be aware of opportunities that are around you and do what you love, and you never work a day in your life. But if you do that, the world becomes aware of you. And I've seen SNEWJ get invited to, $100 million people's homes, and he speaks with billionaires, and he reaches all kinds of people. But he didn't come from Harvard or Princeton. He's self-made, right? That's the key in this digital economy, be self-made. So you've got to be aware. The next one is you've got to be authentic. You can't fake it. The world is filled with happy talk. People that say what they're going to do, but never make anything happen. So you've got to be the CEO of your life, which is have a plan, put priorities in place, develop tools, tactics, and resources, and execute the plan. 9, you celebrate every achievement. I'm celebrating this opportunity to be able to talk with you and take your story into prisons. And 10, you got to live in gratitude. Express your gratefulness or your appreciation for the blessings that have come your way, and try to pass it along. And I will just tell you, SNEWJ, I am super grateful to you for letting me share this story with your million people audience, and because I want them to learn about prisons and to see it differently, and hopefully get them involved if they're interested 100%. In prison reform.
Thank you for that. And where can people find you? Instagram?
Prison Professors.
Okay.
Prison Professors everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. My audience is primarily in prison. They don't have access to the web, but I do document my story, whatever I'm doing, and share it, because it's really important to inspire the people who live without hope, and that's what I try and do, and that's what I'm going to do with the SNEWJ Show.
Before I let you go, is there anything you want to leave off to the audience right here?
I think the most important lesson that I've learned of having been through prison for 9,500 days and been so fortunate I've been home now for about 12 years is the importance of gratitude. It is an extraordinary thing to live in this country and to say I was in prison for 26 years, I've been home for 12 years, I've done tens of millions of dollars in business, but I'm liquid for millions of dollars and could do what I want and never have to get paid again, ever. That I can be grateful for, but I can also say none of that would have happened had I not learned from Nelson Mandela, Frederick Douglass, Socrates, and so many other people. We think about the prison system, a lot of times you'll say a lot of bad things, but there were a lot of very positive people in the prison system that really helped me. Staff and other people serving time. I never use the word inmate, I just say people, because we're all people. We are all share a common humanity. It doesn't matter what color we are, what background we come from, right? I'm about unity and building a great community and a great society. In fact, there's this great story. You know that I'm in Bitcoin and Satoshi. I don't know if your viewers know the story of Satoshi, who's the founder of Bitcoin. But I frequently identify with that story because in 2008, he decided to introduce this concept of cryptocurrency. But nobody in the world would have believed in cryptocurrency at that. Who's going to think you could buy millions of dollars of some digital asset that's not backed? Nobody would. And I think of the difficulty he must have had, but he took a very deliberate approach. First, he wrote a white paper, but he didn't give it to everybody. He gave it to mathematicians and cryptographers and data scientists to get their buy-in first.
Yeah.
And then after he got their buy-in, he went and gradually go into the finance community investors. And that's how the coin went from zero to today it's $94,000.
Yeah.
I think it hit
Crazy.
today, right?
Yeah.
The most successful asset ever. When we want to change the world, we've got to take that path. We've got to first change ourselves. We've got to find like-minded people who also want to see change and get people to believe. I believe that we incarcerate too many people in this country, and I believe that it spawns intergenerational cycles of poverty. I believe that it hurts people of color more than anyone else. And I think that it's time to change and to think differently. And I hope that your audience might want to get involved in that. I would be immensely grateful if any of them wanted to learn how they could be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a nonprofit, so I don't pay, but everything I do is for free. And if anybody wants to get involved, I hope that they will participate. And I just want to express gratitude to all the people that have helped me make this message possible. But today, it's Snoosh.
I'm still trying to figure it out. Words in my heart, but they just don't come out. Standing with you, but soon to be without. Empty my spirit, know what this about. I know the truth, but I